selection's a huge challenge for any head coach, and clearly it takes on board the views of all those around him. We've had a number of questions in here about both of you guys getting involved with this weekend's game, and I'm sure you both absolutely love to do that.
Yeah, I'd say like yesterday was probably the hardest thing I've done, sitting watching a game. It was you're kind of helpless, you can't do anything, but you're just desperate to be out there and be involved. But they'll say Andy's fully shown he'll pick the team that he thinks best to go and beat England on Saturday, and hopefully so we've done enough in the past to warrant selection for this week, and I'm sure whoever is selected, the 15 that will start and the 22 that's involved, they'll get the full backing of the 8 guys that aren't involved again, and we do talk about it an awful lot, but it's a massive a score effort to make sure everything goes into place for us to beat England on Saturday.
Joe, Brian Scott on Facebook sort of comments, he'd love to see you in the match 22, and you'd love to be involved, I'm sure, again.
Yeah, no, it's disappointing not to be involved yesterday, but I guess I trust the coaches. I think they know what they've seen enough of us to know what we offer to the match 15, and if it's massively required, then we'll get the nod, and hopefully that'll be the case for me this weekend, and Scotty also, and that's all we can do. We train hard, everyone trains hard, everyone's pushing each other, and people play games. Every position is subtly different. The competition, and I guess it's just what's ticking the box for that particular performance that we're trying to get. And I think the guys who were involved yesterday, I think they all played really well and justified their selection. And the game was good the last couple of minutes. So yeah, I mean, hopefully I'll get a chance to play.
And everyone spends that sort of take makes it even tougher to lose a game when you lose it just so late on. That's I think probably one of the biggest frustrations for the supporters, which is coming through on Twitter.
Yeah.
And you guys feel it as well. With 5-10 minutes to go, we're looking pretty good, and then things went not in our favour.
Mm. Yeah, I think we're a competitive team, like we say, but there's very, very rarely that we're sort of out of a game in sort of 60-70 minutes, but it's going to take the type of rugby we play, whether it be especially against teams that are very similar to, we're going to take it down to the last couple of minutes, and that's when we say we probably had a lapse of concentration yesterday. But you think back, I think probably the one that sticks in my mind is when Parksley kicked the goal in the Six Nations against Ireland to win at Croke Park. So these things happen. That's when you win and lose games, and sometimes it comes for you, sometimes it doesn't, and that's what makes probably yesterday so frustrating, because we did all the hard work. We played real well. We played with real ambition, and we just didn't manage to get across that finish line.
So looking forward to the England game. We've got a number of guys in that England squad that you'll both know pretty well. That are teammates. Will we get some of those insights in those meetings that we'll be having internally to sort of pick your brain about who's playing and how they might want to play the game?
Yeah, it's funny you talked about earlier about watching the other teams and other nations, and it's been a good thing for me, is watching the nations. Say myself at Gloucester, you got sort of Samoan guys and Fijian guys that I play with week in week out at Gloucester now. Then watching them play for their country as well. That was quite good. And there's obviously at England we both play down in the English Premiership, so we know these guys reasonably well, whether it be teammates or ex-teammates or playing against them week in week out. And it's a challenge that lies ahead on Saturday, and just absolutely desperate to be involved. That's all you want to do, is get on that pitch and put a performance in.
And Joe, you'll know a number of the players that will be playing for England next week. Do you guys sort of keep in touch away from rugby as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've played with some of those guys for years, and so yeah, still keep in touch with a few of the guys. And obviously they've got a bit of wind in their sails now, which is good for them, but obviously good for us. We kind of we want the toughest challenge we can get, really. When we looked at the group before it started, when we looked at it before it started, we knew this is a game we could win, and nothing's changed there. And I think they'll be wary of the threat we pose. Definitely, they'll be really worried about this game, and rightly so. I think we showed yesterday that we can, perform to a high level, and I think England struggled against Argentina. That similar kind of thing went the other way. just managed to get the win with that try at the end, and this is the chance for us to to really put in a performance with a win at the end of it.
We always like to do as Scotland, whether it's football or golf or cricket or whatever it might be, we always like to do things the hard way. And this is an example maybe of doing it the hard way, but indeed it would be quite a satisfactory way to do it by doing it against England.
I think when the draw was made, like when we got the schedule for the World Cup, you look at that, you look at the way the pool goes, and so Scotland England in the last pool match so at Eden Park in Auckland, which is in a World Cup, and somebody's fate or the result of something within the pool was always going to rely on it, and it's probably, if yesterday's done anything, it's intensified it even more. If it could be done, it has done, and definitely for us, it's made it even more important. Made it even more important for them, because the way the pools went, it's either one of us could be knocked out, and I bet England didn't think having won 3 games they could come to the last game and not definitely be qualified. So it just shows what the World Cup's about, and it's going to be everyone's more than aware of the kind of the history and the kind of rivalry between the two nations, and and that's, you just want to be involved in that. It's a special thing, and you want to go and be able to. For me personally, I'm sure there's 29 guys out there, they'll feel exactly the same. You just want to be able to contribute in some way.
One of the questions which has come in on Facebook from Niall McGill asks, what was the most memorable team talk you've ever had prior to a Scotland match? And who gave it? Does the team talks always come from Andy, or does it come? A memorable team talk might even come from a colleague who's maybe not in the playing pool.
I think we tend to change it, like the kind of the manner and the order in which it's done. I think sometimes the coaches would like to speak just before kick-off, or sometimes you'd like to speak maybe 2 or 3 hours before and leave it up to the players, because ultimately it's up to the players after as soon as the whistle goes, it's on their heads a little bit. I think sometimes for me the thing you sort of remember most is the information you can sometimes get at half time. I can't remember exactly which game it was. I remember Andy speaking to the boys at half time, and it was quite an intense game, and obviously emotions are running high, and his level of clarity and the information that was given to us at half time to get in, and we then subsequently implemented the information we'd been given, and it probably resulted in us winning the game. So it's not always about sort of the manner of the delivery, but it's also about the content's really important as well.
Joe, for you?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of great leaders in the squad. I think there's actually a leaders group as well, and you look up to all those players, and there's a lot of good speakers there as well. So it's hard to pinpoint one particular team talk, but obviously the guys there's a lot of inspirational guys, and like Scotty says, the clarity sometimes just during a game or at half time or before a game, just having a quiet word of you and just kind of focusing you on your task ahead is, that kind of experience is invaluable, and it's made younger guys, it's made their passage into the squad a lot easier because there's so many good leaders there.
Well, that's a great way to leave it. We've clearly got lots of great leaders in the team, and they're going to have to earn their corn this week in the head of a big game. What we've seen coming through on Facebook and Twitter is so many good luck messages. There's so much support for you back home in Scotland, and indeed Scottish supporters around the world watching on ScottishRugby.org and on the RBS Facebook account. So you know that the nation's right behind you ahead of this big game. So gents, thank you both so much for joining us this morning, and thank you to everyone back home that's tuned in to watch Scott and Joe. It's going to be a big week for us all. Thanks very much, and we'll be doing another one of these casts later in the week. Thanks.